Hello, and welcome to another episode of Untraditionally Traditional, a podcast with me, Brittany Duncan, a millennial homemaker. Join me each week as I share all the things I've learned that make keeping your home, garden, and life running smoothly, all while working. If you are enjoying the podcast, please be sure to subscribe in your favorite podcasting app so you get the episodes downloaded straight to you every Monday. Now, on to today's episode. Hello, and welcome back to Untraditionally Traditional, a millennial homemaker. This is your host, Brittany Duncan, and if you are here for the first time, welcome. This episode is actually part of a 4-part series that goes through the different stages of homemaking, from beginner to intermediate to advanced, and then this episode, which I'm calling Specialized Homemaking. So if you're new here, I encourage you to maybe go to the beginning of this series to start with, or this is episode 105, and so there's lots of other episodes to enjoy. I hope that you will listen to them, and thank you so much for being here. But if you have been following the series, this is our 4th and final part. But before I dive into the episode, I wanted to share a comment that a fellow listener, Yana, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, left on episode 1 of this series on Spotify. So sorry, I'm just seeing it now. I'm still getting used to Spotify comments. For those of you that listen on Spotify, know that you can leave individual comments on episodes to tell me what you loved or provide your own tips. I'd love to hear from you. You, of course, can also always reach out to me on Instagram or my website. But Yana wrote, love this new series, been listening to the show for a while, and I'm excited to dive deeper into being a better homemaker while juggling being a wife and mother. Episode 1, and I already gained new tips, and I'm excited to grow in my skills. So thank you, Yana. Juggling the role of homemaker and new mom is going to be something that I face in 2 months or so. So I'll be sharing bits and pieces of my journey. Probably what I've learned through trial and error. So I'll be asking you guys for tips, and I appreciate any feedback and insights to those that have walked the road before me. Diving in, specialized homemaking. What does that mean? Truthfully, I struggled with what to call the 4th installment of this series, but the idea here is that it's maybe some of the more uncommon skills, the skills that sadly we've nearly lost through generations, but that deeply intrigue me at least. Your list may be very different, but to me, these are the skills that, as a homemaker, I hope to gain one day, skills I hope I'll hone or have an opportunity to hone as life moves forward. I often joke that I was born in the wrong century because while I love and use the conveniences of modern technology, it's not something that gets me jazzed. I could care less about the latest iPhone and its features list, but the idea of having a variety of farm animals and an orchard to tend to, that gets me excited. This list, and I encourage you to think of what it is for you, should be the things that make you buzz with excitement thinking about doing, getting into, and mastering. So here we go. In the food category, there are a number of specialized skills I hope to master in my life. While I consider myself a competent cook, recipe development is a skill I lack almost entirely. I am a from recipe cook. I can follow directions, but I'm not great at opening the fridge, seeing 5 items that need to be used, and coming up with a meal that makes sense and tastes good. Sadly, when I wing it, it tends to fall flat. I'd like to gain this skill, and I believe with practice and patience, I will. On the last episode, I talked about how one day I would love to have a huge garden and grow enough to support our family year-round. The gardening skills are not the only skills I'll need to make that happen. I'm going to need to learn to preserve food, whether that's through canning, fermenting, drying, honestly, probably all 3. I've dabbled in some of these areas, but I have a long way to go. So, though it's definitely something that I hope to learn. I'd love to pass down food traditions, make food that my son remembers and loves to the extent that he wants a copy of mom's recipe for his own kitchen one day. There's so many meals that my mom makes that are just instant comfort meals. Even though I have those recipes, they don't taste as good as when she makes it, and that's the way it should be. So I want to have those food traditions to pass down through generations. I think it's really special and something that I hope to do with my own children and hopefully grandchildren one day. In the laundry department, I'd love to be able to mend and sew well. I can get around, but I'm not confident. I'd rather pay someone to hem a pair of pants than do it myself because I just haven't gotten to that point with my skills yet. It's a goal. One of my cousins, Avon, is the most amazing seamstress. She makes the most adorable outfits for her children, and I'm just in awe of her skills. And I would like to get to that point, and I'm working on it. I took a class, and I plan to take more. I've done a few projects around the house, and while they are definitely not Ralph Lauren home quality, I'm proud of them. I made a bunch of pillow covers, and not only was it way more economical than buying new pillow covers, it was a really fun project. And when I look at them, I smile and go like, oh, I made that. And so I want to keep expanding that skill. In the cleaning department, I'd love to get to a point that I'm not hiding things in closets and drawers, that if a guest were to open a random drawer, I wouldn't be embarrassed by the state of it. To be organized and intentional with all spaces in my home, not just the ones that we see in the open. I don't have a junk drawer because for me it gets out of hand. I like things to have a place, but I do have drawers that hold like all manner of objects that honestly don't like really make sense with. They don't make sense. I don't know what to do with them. It's kind of like a hodgepodge. And so I'd love to get to the point where everything has a place, it's organized. If you can tell, I'm maybe a little bit OCD. But I love the calmness that knowing where things are brings when, often it's, my husband saying, hey, do you know where XYZ is? And knowing like right away, yes, I do, because that thing has a place. It drives me crazy when I can't find something. And so I'd love to have, all areas of my home be optimized, that the things that are in them are there with intention and not just like shoved in there to get them out of sight, out of mind. In the budgeting category, and this is a skill thanks to our financial planner that I've gained, is to optimize your accounts and financial vehicles for retirement. We've talked about the different stages of the homemaker's role with money, and I believe the final step is not just to save money, but to grow it. Johnson and I were extremely fortunate, thanks to parental support, to get through college without student loans. That was huge for us. But then we spent the better part of our early marriage working fairly low-income jobs, or Johnson went back to school, and we had a single income source for quite some time as he worked his way through school. Wanted him to, focus on his studies, and he did an express program that basically was like double the workload in a shorter amount of time so that he could graduate earlier and start working. And it, we didn't have much money in the beginning of our marriage. But we were ruthless about saving and investing. Our biggest expense now, and honestly, pretty much like our whole marriage, without a doubt, is the money that we put towards retirement each month. We're working hard now, but we live more simply to be hopefully able to enjoy financial freedom a little bit younger than we otherwise might if we spent more now. The biggest thing, no matter how old you are listening to this, is to start. Whatever you can start putting towards retirement or investment accounts to do it. A quote I love is, the best time to start was yesterday, but the second best time to start is today. Again, it's very personal though. And, I was at my granny's today and we were, talking, and she pointed out something to me that honestly, I hadn't really dawned on me. And she basically was, explaining that I should give myself grace and flexibility with this, financial line that I've towed for the past 10 years because priorities may change with the birth of our son. And of course, she is speaking through experience that, you can always make more money, but you can't get that time back. So it's a balance. And I'm really glad that I had that conversation with her and that she had that point, especially as I was, getting ready to record this episode, because it did change my mind a little bit. Originally I had just had, written down on my notes for this episode that just do whatever you can do and keep doing it. But that may not be the case for everyone. So, it is whatever's a priority. But I do think that having a financial planner or somebody that's like that third party to help you navigate the pros and cons is really huge. It has been for us. And I think that his help is going to be great as we adjust our plan with the birth of our son. So to look at, the pros and cons and help to weigh that. So that's been really great for us. Moving to the outdoors, I would love to have a farm one day. I know I've talked about my granny's farm before and the super fond memories I have of it. But through her stories, as well as watching many of my friends who do have or have had farms, I know it's a lot of work and not without some sacrifices. So it's not right for us right now, but one day I believe that we'll be in a place where it feels like less of a sacrifice to be tied down with farm animals to care for daily and more of a reward. And I can't wait for that day. I dream about that day. In the meantime, the skill I am honing every year is making our current backyard an oasis. Having chickens and quail, a handful of fruit trees, garden beds to tend to, making things beautiful and having a space to enjoy the outdoors. That's where we are right now, and any gardener or homemaker knows that it's never ending. You are never done. I feel like particularly with outdoor projects. The deck will need to be sanded and restained. Every year, the gardens need more topsoil. Try as you might to eradicate weeds, I swear they are sent from the devil himself and are tough little buggers that every year, you end up fighting with. Fences need mending and painting, and the list goes on. Thankfully, I find joy in home projects, especially the outdoor projects. But I do love when the list is done and I'm in that phase of enjoyment. It's usually midsummer because from spring until then, we're undoing the hardship of winter and tackling the long to-do list for the year. But and that's something I'd say too, is like the more you add to your property, the more you maintain. So keep that in mind as you plan and install new features to your property and gardens, and be intentional about that work, because while all those things are beautiful when you install them, it does take work to keep them beautiful and running and working properly. So last but not least, in the hosting category is to be able to host large gatherings and parties, to use hospitality as a way to build community, to be a connector of people under your roof. For some people, these skills come naturally. My mom, Michelle, is one of these people that can cook for 50 people with more ease than she can for 2. Her brain just works that way. She is really great at cooking large quantities of food and meal planning in that way. I am not. I am a host for 12 people max. And I've got that down. But in time and with practice, I'm sure that skill will come. It's something I would like to be able to do, or to feel comfortable, almost inviting, people you really don't know well to your table and getting comfortable with that for that sense of community. As you develop, or if you have, these or any other specialized skills, especially ones that are falling by the wayside, please share them. Move from student to teacher, volunteer your skills. I look at my granny, my grandmother that has passed, my great-grandmother, and their knowledge base was or is, thankfully my granny's still with us, just incredible, from sewing to needlepoint to crochet to knowing how to milk a cow or raise a flock of geese, from making food items to scratch and preserving them as to not waste anything. So many skills that were just you look at motherhood, the skills of birthing and breastfeeding, and so many of these things were just passed down generationally that are not anymore as much. There's I look at my specialized list of skills, and there's so many, almost all of them are things that my great grandmother would have known how to do, just naturally. It was a given that you would know how to do that. And so as we live in this world of one-click ordering, same-day delivery, and I'm just as guilty. I want to rewind the clock a little bit and learn these skills while there's still time. Um, so that, my friends, will be my personal specialized homemaking journey. I hope this episode has inspired you to dream yours and make a list of what it is. Until next week, happy homemaking, everyone. Thank you for listening to this episode of Untraditionally Traditional. If you enjoyed the podcast, please share it with those special people who would love it too, and write a review. For more tips and photos of my home and garden, follow Untraditionally Traditional Pod on Instagram. Until next week, let's continue to make our homes places of joy and service to ourselves and those we share them with.